Hello everyone, and welcome back to Great Broadway Fan's YouTube channel. I'm Luke, and today I am bringing you my review for NBC's Hairspray Live. I have to say, I really have been enjoying this new renaissance of live musicals done on television over the last 3 years. I mean, it was it's hard to believe that it started out 3 years ago with The Sound of Music Live, because live musicals were done on television decades ago, and now NBC brought them back, and Fox got involved. More channels are getting involved, and there's more movie musicals, I think, as a result of these televised events happening on television. But is Hairspray Live the best NBC musical that has been done yet? Well, I definitely think that it's better in terms of quality than The Sound of Music Live and Peter Pan Live. And in terms of its production, I think it's a lot better than The Wiz Live was, although The Wiz Live was pretty spectacular. The cast overall, the direction, the new take on it, the music, everything about that was fantastic, and so was Hairspray. But it's really unfortunate when you look at the viewership numbers, because when the final tally came in, Hairspray is now officially at the bottom of the list for all of the NBC musicals that have been done in the last 3 years. The Sound of Music Live is still on top at 18.3 million, The Wiz at 11.5, Peter Pan at 9.2, and Hairspray at 9.05. When you factor in the Fox musicals as well, Grease Live had 12 million, so it's in between The Sound of Music and The Wiz, and then the Rocky Horror Picture Show that happened back in October is at the bottom of the list in general. So Hairspray is second to last with this new, I'll call it a renaissance of live musicals on television. But with that being said, I did actually really, really enjoy this, and it's a bummer that it didn't get more viewers, because I think that NBC started out so strong with The Sound of Music, took a dive with Peter Pan, recovered with The Wiz, and I felt elevated not just the production factor, but the energy that comes with these musicals by doing Hairspray just like Fox did with Grease. They did it on multiple sound stages in Los Angeles with a live studio audience, double the production, more cameras, more involving moving parts. With Sound of Music, Peter Pan, and The Wiz, they were all done in New York City in a sound stage with a couple of set pieces just built in this one big location. The Wiz was actually done very, very clever with a huge LED screen behind them with projections so that each of the different locations could have a new backdrop and set pieces rolled on stage. But Grease Live and Hairspray Live were done on the Warner Brothers lot with realistic rendered sets that were built and a live audience to boot. And I think that it made for an overall better experience. Now, one of the things going into this, when I heard months ago that Hairspray was going to be happening, the immediate thought that popped into my head is, why would you try to redo Hairspray when it's already been done perfectly on film once? I'm not talking about the John Waters 1988 movie. I'm talking about the 2007 film adaptation of the Broadway musical. That came out when I was in middle school, and I was obsessed with that movie for years. I recently rewatched it to prepare myself for Hairspray Live, and I was watching it and I'm like, aside from the fact that obviously camera work has gotten better and there are movie musicals that are made where people don't lip sync on camera anymore, this version of Hairspray really is perfect. The cast is perfect. The direction was perfect. The music was handled perfectly. It didn't make sense in my brain for them to want to redo Hairspray for the whole nation to see. The Sound of Music and Peter Pan and the Wiz, while they do have, while The Sound of Music has a fabulous film adaptation, it wasn't the original Broadway libretto. Peter Pan, the musical, never got a film adaptation, so this is perfect. There were pro-shot versions with Mary Martin and Kathy Rigby, but those were done on television as well. And then The Wiz was such a wonderful musical that the fact that the movie adaptation was such a far departure from the original material that it was almost unrecognizable, that deserved to be remade. But Hairspray struck me as a musical that already had a perfect film adaptation. But there are differences between the stage version and the 2007 movie version that I didn't know. First of all, I was completely unaware that the Big Blonde and Beautiful reprise is not in the stage musical. It was written specifically for the movie, and that whole sequence where Velma tries to seduce Wilbur in order to have Edna pull Tracy off of the Corny Collins show, that was written all for the movie. And also, Little Inez won the Miss Teenage Hairspray contest in the movie, and that's what integrates the Corny Collins show. But in the Broadway version, as well as the Hairspray Live, Tracy wins, lets Amber keep the crown, and just says to the camera that the Corny Collins show is forever integrated. And I felt that was really, really weak in terms of her just making that decision for the network as a whole. Also, and this is, I don't know because I've never seen the stage version myself, but I didn't know that during Big Blonde and Beautiful, Tracy, Miss Motormouth, Edna, Wilbur, Seaweed, Penny, and all of the black ensemble members marched down to the news station with picket signs and protest, and Tracy actually gets thrown in prison. That's not in the movie. They do protest, but it's later in the film. And Tracy avoids police and doesn't end up in jail. But those are just a couple of tiny differences between the film adaptation and this one. Now, the direction and the musical numbers. I felt like all of them were staged perfectly. I seriously knew going into this, I said, there's no way that you can do Hairspray on one lone soundstage. Not to the extent if you want to go full big budget with a live exclamation point musical, you need multiple locations. And the fact that they were able to recreate Baltimore and have different scenes in different places was so perfect. I thought that Mama, I'm a Big Girl Now was directed beautifully with the three girls and their mothers all next to each other on camera, but in different areas, obviously, on stage. I thought that the direction that Kenny Leone did was great. There were a couple of cheeseball moments that I was like, really? Why would you do that? That just doesn't seem necessary. I felt that, I don't know if this was a directional choice or if it was the actor's choice, but some characters had line deliveries that felt too over the top in terms of whenever you're doing any kind of medium, you need to have a basis in reality. If you go camp, that's a completely different conversation. But everything needs to be based in some form of reality. And when characters act above that line of reality, that's where the viewer gets a little bit uncomfortable in how the character is acting. That's why most people have problems with musicals, because in reality, people do not break into song. But when musicals are done well enough where the musical numbers are seamless and you don't notice that they're jarring when it breaks out into song, that's a good musical. But I just felt that the direction overall was good. It was an enjoyable, fun experience. There were just a couple of blemishes of weird moments. And that actually leads me into the new book by Harvey Fierstein. I felt like he made a lot of the characters dumber than they were in the film version. I felt that the roles of Link, Amber, and Penny specifically got really, really cheesy dialogue. I felt that Wilbur had a lot of contrived dopiness. I felt that Little Inez had some like one-liners that I assumed were supposed to be funny, but weren't. But I do love the fact that Edna got a much bigger character than she does in the film version. In the movie version, she's like a crippling introvert. But in this version, after Welcome to the 60s, she goes outside, she's dressing nicer, she gets all dolled up, she's proud of who she is, and that's a great message. That's the whole message of Hairspray, is to be proud of who you are, regardless of how you look. Whether it's physically, the color of your skin, you just need to be proud of who you are and never let anybody tell you any different. And that's one of the great messages about Hairspray. Okay, the cast. I've divided the cast into 3 groups. 1, people who I was looking forward to see that delivered on their performances. 2, people I was either nervous or apprehensive about that surprised me with their performances. And then 3rd, people who I was excited to see but did not deliver on their performances. So the first group, Maddie Ballio, Garrett Clayton, Harvey Fierstein, Derek Huff, and Ephraim Sykes. Everybody in this group, all of these 5 actors were astounding. Maddie, stupendous. A Star is Born once again because of an NBC Live musical. Absolutely perfect. Garrett Clayton really, really impressed me. The only thing I knew previously going into this with his career was the Teen Beach movie, where he basically played like an even dumber, ditzier version of Link Larkin. But this Link, you could tell the dedication that he had with his character, and he had a lot of fun. Harvey, he won a Tony for Edna back on Broadway in 2003, and to come back and do this all over again was a beautiful return to form. I watched this with one of my very best friends who adores Harvey Fierstein, and we were just smiling and laughing the whole time because he looked like he was having the time of his life too. Edna is just a perfect role for him. Derek, amazing, absolutely fantastic as Corny Collins. I was thinking about this. If Hairspray Live had been done 10 years ago, Derek would totally have been Link Larkin. But now that it's done today, he was perfect for the role of Corny Collins. Absolutely perfect. And Ephraim Sykes, what a freaking talent. So good. Amazing singer, fantastic dancer. His subtle acting moments and he seemed way too cool for everybody. But then when he was around Penny, he turned into like that nervous guy who is in love with a really pretty girl. Like that was, his characterization would just switch on a dime and it was perfect. Absolutely loved it. Okay, the second group, people I was apprehensive or nervous about, but surprised me. That's Dove Cameron, Ariana Grande, and Jennifer Hudson. When I heard that Ariana Grande was cast as Penny, I thought, this is a mistake. Ariana Grande is way too much of a pop star to be Penny. She would have made a much better Amber. That's what I'm thinking months ago back when she got cast. But actually seeing the result, Ariana Grande blew me away. Her characterization was spot on perfect, but her pop star voice shined through. And if you listen to the original cast recording, I mean, Carrie Butler, who was the original Penny, she doesn't play Penny as a demure, quiet introvert. She has a fierce, riffing, belting voice that's just inside this introvert that has pigtails and chews bubblegum and wears glasses. But Ariana was amazing. Dove Cameron, like I said, I was nervous. I hated Descendants. I thought that it was absolutely one of the worst Disney Channel original movies I have ever seen. And when I heard that she was cast as Amber, I was like, okay, this is just because Kristen Chenoweth got cast as Velma and she wanted to bring Dove Cameron back to play her daughter again. Boy, was I wrong. Dove Cameron is amazing. Her Mean Girl was so perfect. Her singing, she's got an amazing belting and riff, and the runs that she would do, fantastic. If Dove Cameron, I was thinking about this, if Dove Cameron, I don't know if this would ever happen, but if she got cast as Glinda, whether it's in Wicked on Broadway or in the upcoming film adaptation, I would not be mad at it one bit. Dove Cameron is amazing. And finally, in the last member of this group, Jennifer Hudson. When I heard Jennifer Hudson was cast as Motormouth Maybelle, I had two immediate reactions. One, she's way too young. She's in her 30s, and every actress who has played Motormouth is either in their late 40s to early 50s. But that didn't even matter. I mean, the way that she just looked with the makeup and her hair and her costumes, she looked the part. You forgot how young she was. She just looked like she was a mom of two kids. Like, she didn't look way too young. She had just the right amount of makeup on to convince you that she would have a teenage son that's in high school. But the second thing I was apprehensive about is Jennifer Hudson has become the poster woman, or was the poster woman for Weight Watchers. She has changed so much in terms of her physical being and her health and promoting good health ever since her American Idol and Dreamgirl days. She was a lot heavier years ago and has since lost all that weight and is now thinner and healthier and just as beautiful. But when I heard she got cast as Motormouth, I'm like, this is a role where this woman is self-proclaimed as big. And unfortunately, the butt of a lot of the jokes in Hairspray towards Tracy, Edna, and Motormouth are their weight. But I love the twist that they did. She plays it as being big is not your size, it's your personality. And that's something that I adored about the performance. Once she started singing Big Blonde and Beautiful, I'm just like, I'm on board. Forget it. I was wrong. Jennifer Hudson is perfect for this part. She blew me away. Okay. Finally, the third group, people I was looking forward to seeing, but disappointed on their performance. Shahadi Wright Joseph, I felt that all of her line deliveries were cheesy. I felt that her character was cut down way too small. And I felt that a lot of her dialogue her line where she says, "Are all white people like that?" I'm like, whoa, like, I was not expecting that. And how she kept saying that Mrs. Pingleton was going to kill seaweed. I was just like, okay, you need to stop talking, little girl, like that. No. And like I said earlier, the fact that she didn't get to dance and then win Miss Teenage Hairspray, that bothered me. I'm just like, this is a missed opportunity for the character. Second, Martin Short. I was looking forward to seeing Martin Short. I love him. He's such a great actor. He's so funny. But his performance was just so lackluster. I just was left wanting so much more from his performance. It felt very phoned in. It didn't feel like there was any heart in his performance. He honestly felt to me like he was just reading lines and just walking around on stage. There was no heart with his performance. It just felt very phoned in and artificial. And finally, the person who disappointed me the most was Kristen Chenoweth. I was devastated when I watched this and I saw her, because I thought to myself, Velma is a perfect character. On paper, Kristen Chenoweth as Velma Von Tussle is perfect. But the actual performance was so painful to watch that I was in shock. I was shocked at how bad this performance was. I don't know if it was Kenny Leone's direction or Kristen Chenoweth's acting choices, but everything about the character of Velma was awful. I thought Miss Baltimore Crabs was the worst number in the whole production. I felt that all of her line deliveries was trying way too hard to be funny and villainous. And I know Kristen Chenoweth can do better. I adore this woman, but she disappointed me tremendously on her performance, and that really, really upset me. Okay, 2 more things, and then I'll wrap this up. The cameos. Sean Hayes, Rosie O'Donnell, and Andrea Martin. All of them were fantastic. Andrea Martin, of course, was the best of the 3. She got the biggest part. But she was so perfect as Prudie. At the very end, when she's on the Corny Collins show dancing and everybody else is rocking out, she's like do. She's doing her like little like 50s mom dance. It was so adorable. It was absolutely adorable. The ensemble, stupendous. Everybody in this ensemble was fantastic, from the adults to the Corny Collins council members, to the black ensemble, the white ensemble. Everybody collectively was just amazing. The dancing was perfect. The background acting was perfect. Everything about this was amazing. So overall, I would definitely give Hairspray an A. I mean, I think it's one of the best. I think it's probably one of, if not the best, live musicals that NBC has done. If you take all of them into consideration, I still think that Grease Live is by far the best. Just because I think that the direction was handled a lot better, and I really enjoyed all of the characters in Grease Live across the board, whereas with Hairspray, there were blemishes and moments and characters that I just was not satisfied with. But overall, what a fun night, what a great experience, and I cannot wait for Bye Bye Birdie Live next year. And if you haven't already watched it, I've included a link down in the video description to my video dreamcasting the characters for the upcoming Bye Bye Birdie Live on NBC. So that is my review for Hairspray Live. Thank you so much all for watching this. Be sure to give this video a big thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button if you are not already subscribed. You can follow me on social media. My links to Instagram and Twitter are down in the video description. Please go support my other YouTube channel, GreatBroadwayFan. I've got lots of great movie reviews coming down the pipeline on that channel. Thank you so much for watching. Next week, I will be posting another Dreamcasting video for an upcoming film adaptation remake of a classic off-Broadway musical. So stay tuned for that, everybody. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.